That's the voice of the Laval Rocket on TSN 690, Shaun Campbell. Weekdays 10 to 2 with Mitch Gallo. It's Campbell v. Gallo. Follows the morning show with McKenna and Starr. TSN 690, your home for the Montreal Canadiens in the push towards the playoffs. And the Laval Rocket, March 14th, AHL trade deadline day, baby. The Montreal Canadiens did make two moves. Sur papier, mes amis. Owen Beck and Jakub Dobeš loaned to Laval. The most predictable thing, everybody knew that it's good business, so that they had to be on the Laval Rocket roster before the deadline, so they will be eligible to play for Laval and Pascal Vincent's troops for the AHL run. Two different teams in two different directions. The pro club is where they're at. Their AHL pro club battling for first place with Rochester all the time. Massive game on Friday night in front of the fans at Place Bell. Quick reaction here to what you think Laval needs to do to shore up their team. Walk me through some holes that you think need to be filled this week, taking us to Friday's AHL trade deadline.
I don't know if they have much to
Ooh,
fill.
is that a good thing? That's a good thing. You're going to go to war with the guys.
I think they will, and because
Yeah.
there's two things that I'm going to bring up.
Yep.
And it's not that you could always go get a depth defenseman. That's fine. But Gustav Lindstrom is due back soon from injury, and they have faith in that depth. Your fourth pairing or your third pairing right now is Trudeau and Hayes. So maybe it'll go Lindstrom and Trudeau. Hayes becomes your seventh guy. I think they're very happy with the Witherspoon and Mayu, Engstrom and Reinbacher. I'm fine with the blue line. Goaltending, you're going to have a choice when it comes to the playoffs if the Canadiens don't make the playoffs between Dobeš and Primo. I don't even know who they choose at this point. And then up front, I would say the center ice position, but that's because they've lost Owen Beck. Owen Beck might be coming back. And then you have Xhekaj, you have Laurent Dauphin, Condata. And let me give you what their trade deadline acquisition could be. There's two of them. They're both centers. Gignac been out. He's week to week. His season's not over. And if they get Gignac, that is a AHL veteran acquisition at the deadline that's going to be dropped into your top six. And Kent Hughes mentioned, by the way, on March 11th, SHL season's over. Playoffs start. Timrå. Their center iceman, Oliver Kapanen. Now they're going to finish in sixth. Kapanen's team is in sixth. They're not a top-end team. They're going to play in the first round, maybe the second round. So you have a couple weeks where he might get eliminated, and he's coming over. Now, maybe it might be a little bit of time in the NHL, but there's also time possibly in the AHL for Kapanen. There's another big-time acquisition. So if you get Gignac, you get Kapanen, you get Gustav Lindstrom back, you're getting some veterans, you're going to get Dobeš and Beck. You're really shoring up a team that has been banged up with injuries but have shown depth. I don't think they need to do anything. I think they could do it with the guys that they have, and it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, because in 5 weeks, they're getting even Noel Hoffenmeyer. There's another veteran on the blue line. Luke Tuck comes back from injury. So this they just have to get to there, and they're comfortably right now battling for top spot with Rochester.
So, like, when you talk about where they're at, and I'll be fascinated to see what GM John Sedgwick does as we go to the March 14th AHL trade deadline. Like, the way you line it out and define the players that have been doing the heavy lifting, guys that are going to come back. You talk about Dobeš, Owen Beck, one of their leading performers before he graduated to the NHL and has been there since Kirby Dach's injury. Is this legitimately, like, let's take the glasses off, let's check our biases? Is this the best team in the AHL? Like, the way you lay it out for me, I'm kind of left with that impression. Like, when they have all their players at their disposal ready to go, is this the best team in the AHL, Shaun?
Well, and I'll tell you this, I did not expect this team to be very strong, but the reason why they are strong this year is the performances from rookies, performances from their draft picks.
Wow.
Now Alex Barré-Boulet, I knew he was going to be strong, because he's an AHL veteran. He knows what he's doing. They bring in Tyler Witherspoon. You have a kind of a stalwart at the blue line that is consistent and plays every single day. Laurent Dauphin knows how to play in the AHL. He'll be fine. Same thing with Gignac once he gets healthy. Boom, boom, boom. You have AHL veterans. But the reason why is they're getting rookie Florian Xhekaj, 15 goals. Davidson in his second year on the brink of 20 goals on the season. Joshua still producing. Adam Engstrom not pulling a Norlander and kind of ghosting out there. Engstrom establishing himself and getting big time minutes on the power play, on the penalty kill, a 5-on-5. Another all-star season from Logan Mailloux. Goaltending from Connor Hughes, who is coming out of Europe out of nowhere, and they trust him enough that on a Friday night at Place Bell with all the marbles for first place, they start him instead of Primo. Now, back to back, they're going to go with Primo, the other one, and you have to be able to establish. But there's teams that can't trust 2 goalies. And with Dobech coming, they're going to trust 3 goalies. So, yes, legitimately, this is a very good team. The other teams they have to watch out for, Hershey, that's an independently owned team. They've got some big wigs. That's a team that at the trade deadline might be like, we're purchasing these guys for a playoff run from players. But I don't see the Rocket doing it, because if they're bringing in players, they're taking players out of the lineup that are draft picks, and it's very important that they play their draft picks. But the reason why they're doing well is because the Canadiens must play players. Their draft pick players have been playing through the roof. There's really not many Habs picks that are on this team that aren't performing. I'll even say like a Riley Kidney, who you look at his numbers, but now he goes, okay, I'm a 4th line center. I'm a 4th line winger. This is the role I'm going to play. And he goes and plays that role. He always played as a top 6 guy somewhere else, but he's got to do this on this team, and Pascal Vincent has him doing it.
Like, is it sustainable? Like, when you talk about, like, it's surprising to some people when you talk about, maybe why they're slightly overachieving based on what you thought they were going to look like Laval at the beginning of their AHL season, that Florian Xhekaj has been a pleasant surprise to a lot of people paying attention to what the Rocket are doing. You talk about the fact he's got 15 goals. I think you and I a few weeks ago spoke about Florian Xhekaj as maybe the next version of Michael Pezzetta. But when you watch him play, do you watch a guy who's just on a heater, can't do anything wrong, or do you watch a guy who does the small things that add up to big things?
Small things. He's like on the 15 goals, 3 shorthanded, 4 game winners, wins faceoffs. He's a rookie. Leads the league in penalty minutes. So there's the physicality that's part of it. Yes, he takes minors, but those are, standing up for teammates.
Chintzy minors? Okay.
No. There's nothing chintzy about the way that Florian Xhekaj plays. Nothing chintzy.
Shocker.
Okay.
How dare I? I apologize.
I have, and when you come out of the CHL and you go pro, there's a transition period, and I've seen it. I've seen it for players coming out of the NCAA, but not for Florian Xhekaj. And he's playing the role to perfection. With Owen Beck gone, he's kind of taken over that Owen Beck role in that 3rd line center position. So he climbs up, but ideally he might be on the 4th line center when they get to the playoffs and everybody gets healthy. He can play the wing if you need. Florian Xhekaj is not just a guy on a heater right now. Florian Xhekaj has been one of the most consistent Rocket players from day one. And yes, he is a project, but he's closer to the NHL now than I thought, 6 months ago, for sure.
Who's his roommate? His brother.
Yep.
I believe that puts your development into warp speed.
Yes.
Because his brother has gone through a very turbulent kind of trajectory to become, thank goodness David Savard was on this team to help Arber Xhekaj become the defenseman that he's turned into. And I would imagine everything that Arber is learning, he's able to tell his younger brother, who he lives with, in order to make some of those corrections before Pascal Vincent. And before we move on, I want to talk about Pascal Vincent here very quickly. Martin St. Louis, especially after Friday's deadline, he blows me away with his relatability. I believe this guy loves his team. He loves the way they're going and really believes in the future of this team. Pascal Vincent is doing some great work with the Rocket. What's your gut tell you about Pascal Vincent's threshold of patience here? MSL's not going anywhere, brother. I'm just curious what your reaction is to, Pascal's been coaching hockey for a long time. I'm sure he dreams of being a full-time coach in the NHL again. What do you think about his timeline in the AHL? And do you believe he's going to be patient and maybe wait for an opportunity in Montreal?
Things here. Yeah, 2 things. Making the jump back to the AHL after being in the NHL is a hard thing to do. But he's a career coach, lifer. He's in control of this team, and he understands the role that he has with the Canadiens organization. I think you can be patient and understand that at some point all coaches, lifeline dries up, and Pascal would be the perfect, heir apparent for someone like Marty St. Louis.
Yeah.
But you can't think that way because, you and I think we're on the same page. There's a long leash for Marty St. Louis. The organization's comfortable with Marty St. Louis. I think that there's a project and they want to see if he can see it through. For Pascal Vincent, if you're, I know you could just say, just be patient. It will come.
Yeah.
However, opportunities are so few and far between. And if there's another opportunity knocking in the NHL, how do you not go for it?
Right.
How do teams not pay attention to what Pascal Vincent is doing right now with this group in the AHL? Very likely he could win AHL Coach of the Year. And then NHL organizations are going to take notice. They already know of him. They've already noticed him. They know who he is and what he can do. Now you're seeing it come to fruition with this team, and we'll see what they do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If someone comes knocking, how can Pascal Vincent say, no, I'm waiting on Marty because it's in Montreal and I want that opportunity? No, you go to where the opportunity is. But if it doesn't come, and he does have a little patience, and he doesn't want a parallel move, or he doesn't want to be an assistant somewhere, and he wants to be a head coach, if he waits it out, I could definitely see it happening in Montreal. But I don't know when. I don't have it. You and I both would think that timeline's pretty long.
Yeah, I would think not even close. Shaun Campbell, thanks as always, my man. Great stuff. Everybody enjoys your perspective, and it's nice to talk about the AHL and the Canadiens farm team on the come up and looking for bigger and better things. And we'll be listening to you, call all the action, and of course, enjoying you on TSN 690, 10 to 2 with Mitch Gallo. Shaun, thanks as always for the time.
Thanks. Always love it. Love being in Laval. Get to be there all month of March with all the games. They're home the whole time.
Enjoy Saint Martin, Centropolis, and the beautiful Laval. Thanks, Shaun.
Have a good one.